Everybody, welcome back to another review here on the Outpost Unknown YouTube channel. My name is Matthew, joined once again by Josh
Okay.
and the lovely Jennii.
Hey guys.
Okay, so the reason why we are back so soon, what was the last movie that we did a review on? Do either of you?
Nosferatu.
There you go, Nosferatu. You are correct. We are back pretty quickly after that with a new review because Wolfman came out. This is a new Leigh Whannell film. Leigh Whannell, of course, did The Invisible Man a few years back. I think that was the last movie I saw before everything went into COVID effect, where all the theaters were shut down. And he works with James Wan on a bunch of stuff. So I was very, very excited to see Wolfman because I am a huge fan of the original Wolfman and even the 2010 Benicio del Toro remake of the Universal Wolfman. Before I start getting into, this particular movie, I'm going to toss it to you guys. I'll start with you first, Jennii. How excited were you going into Wolfman? Had you been familiar with the films in the past? Was this all new? What were your thoughts going in?
So I've watched quite a bit of just, random old school werewolf movies. I also have been a fan of a lot of the cheesy shows like, Twilight, Vampire Diaries, all that. So I'm familiar with like typical or classical lore of, what a wolf man is and, where this werewolf thing comes from. It's usually seems like usually a curse. So I knew about that going into the movie, but this movie, it wasn't so much about a curse.
Well, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Josh, now you, my good friend Pete, and I kind of gave you some shit at Hoo Hot the other day for have never seen the original Wolfman or a lot of werewolf movies. Now, you actually went and watched the original Universal Wolfman from like 1944 or whatever, right? Give us a quick recap. What did you think of that original Wolfman?
Yeah, I hung my head in shame as I drove home from that lunch. I was so disappointed in myself. I loved the simplicity of that movie. It was real simple, and so it kept it real easy. And it said, I don't watch those films from that time. I just don't. It's just not my cup of tea. But I really did enjoy. I'm glad you guys did give me some shit. I'm glad I did go back and watch that film. I love the running time of that film. It's just all so easy and simple. So yeah, I thought it was great. So thank you for dropping shit on me. So I would go back and watch some of these older films.
Yeah. Anytime you want me to give you shit, you don't even have to ask.
I feel like I don't have to ask for it. You just volunteer it.
Yeah. So with regards to Leigh Whannell's Wolfman, how excited or interested were you going into this?
Kind of same thing you were talking about. So I like Leigh Whannell because I'm a really big fan of James Wan, and I like his stuff. So I was like, and again, I didn't see The Invisible Man, so I have no basis for his remake for those films. So just knowing what Leigh Whannell has done in the past, I was actually fairly excited. The trailer didn't really jazz me up that much, but I thought he might do something cool with it.
I loved Leigh Whannell's The Invisible Man. So I went into this super, super excited because I'm like, man, he knocked it out of the park with The Invisible Man. Jennii, did you see The Invisible Man?
No.
Oh, you guys need to watch it. It is super, super, super cool. I wish you would have watched that before you saw this. So I was super excited because I'm a huge Wolfman fan. You can actually see I've got my Monster Squad Wolfman hoodie on right now. Jennii, what is the basic setup of Wolfman? Like, what is this movie all about?
So to me, I'm trying to make this more simple, I guess, without going into too many crazy details. But it was kind of a real-time movie, like current day, where, it's just a simple family. They're going back home for normal family stuff. But, there's kind of a twist where there's like disease in these woods is kind of the thing. And then they also mention Native American history, stuff like that, but it's not really ever really explained. They just said that they've seen a guy in the woods with like a wolf face, or can't remember how they described it. But it was very brief, and they just kind of keep mentioning the word disease. So there's the setup for, they're going back home, but there might be some kind of strange stuff going on. And they really get thrown into it right in the beginning, though. So, yeah.
Yeah, basically they crash, and then something, it's not a spoiler to say a wolf man scratches the main character. It's like a dad, a mom, and their little girl. And then he starts transforming over the course of the movie, and then it just becomes sort of like a survival film. Is can the mom and the daughter survive not only what's happening inside this house, because that's where they run to like lock themselves in, but they have a threat outside, which is another wolf man sort of thing going on. So that's the basic story. Josh, I'm going to toss it to you. Your thoughts on Leigh Whannell's Wolfman?
First of all, going back to Jennii's kind of breaking this down, there's a whole intro that led up to that part. And at the end of that intro, or that opening scene, that dad's on the radio talking to somebody on the other side. And so that dad who took his family out there, that motherfucker knew there was some shit out there, and he still took his family out there. So I was like, this is a terrible dad moment.
Because they say he gets like basically it's left to him, right? Like his dad has gone missing. There's a whole backstory when he's a little kid. That's at the very beginning, where his dad takes him out hunting, and his dad's freaking out on him because you got to be careful out here in these woods. And then fast forward 30 years, his dad has disappeared, and I guess his dad is officially declared dead. And so the state of Oregon says, well, all the property is now yours. And then, he's having problems with his wife. And he convinces her, come on up. We can make it work up here in these scary woods.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to point out, was apparently saving your marriage just means taking your family out to some shitty farm in the woods where it may or may not be dangerous. So, here's what I really, first of all, I didn't dig this movie at all. I just didn't. I wasn't, I just wasn't feeling it. But one thing, the one positive that I did take out of this movie and that I did like was I liked the creature design of this movie. I liked how easy it was and simple it was. Matt's shaking his fucking head. It's not the typical normal Wolfman creature look. I like that they changed that piece of the creature design. I feel like I'm about to eat shit for this, and that's okay. That's what this Matt's just staring me down. That's what I did like about the film. Otherwise, I know. Otherwise, you kind of hit it. It's this typical survival mode movie. The woman that played the mother in that movie, I think. So I watched. I think she was in Ozark with Jason Bateman. She's great in this movie. I did like her a lot. I think she's really great. So I enjoyed her in the film. Beyond that, I asked the question right when I was watching the credits, and I remember messaging you guys and was like, do we blame Blumhouse for this piece of shit, or do we blame Leigh Whannell for this? The writing was terrible in this movie. The story was terrible in this film. It just, nothing worked. It was not, in werewolf lore, it did not, it went off the path in a lot of ways. So.
Okay. So I take it you didn't like it.
No, it was not my. It was not my jam.
On mute or something. I can't hear you, Josh.
What's that?
Oh, you were like on mute or something. I couldn't hear you.
No, it wasn't my jam. And I, to be honest with you, walking in, I wasn't sure just based off the trailer if it was going to be my thing anyway. So,
Yeah.
But I again, Leigh Whannell fan. I wanted to give it a shot.
Gotcha. Jennii, are you on Josh's side here, or are you saying, I actually really like this? I thought it was cool. What are your thoughts on Wolfman?
So there's things I liked and things I didn't like. First of all, I really liked where they filmed it. They actually filmed it in New Zealand. I just kind of love that whole outdoorsy nature thing, but it's also kind of spooky. The casting I thought was kind of interesting. I'm not as familiar with Julia Garner from Ozark. I know she's won like a Golden Globe and all kinds of awards. But I think just the kind of role that she played was kind of unconvincing that she really cared at all for her husband. She seemed very disconnected, distant, self-absorbed with herself, her job, wasn't even really into her daughter. It just felt like there was a disconnect there, but I think that was supposed to make the movie just kind of have that awkward vibe because the main guy that the daughter connected to is the dad, and now he's, you know, sick, for, lack of a better term. But the parts I didn't like were he was not bitten. For me, a classic werewolf thing is you get bitten, and he got scratched, and he got scratched in a way that he didn't even know he was scratched for hours. So that was like kind of weird. Um, so that was a little strange, but I mean, there were still some parts that I liked visually. I thought those transformation scenes, even though they were more just like the hands, the nails, and then some obvious like hair and whatnot, his face. It wasn't as intense. I was kind of hoping for something to be a little bit more scary, because they do call it a horror fantasy movie, but I was hoping for a little bit more scare. There wasn't even really any jump scares in the way that they portrayed the trailer. I thought there was going to be some jump scares, like with the car scene. Not really any
Well,
jump
they
scares.
spoiled that in the trailer. That was like
Yeah,
their one
Yeah,
big moment, and they just spoiled it in the
that
trailer.
that car
yeah.
started. Run that motherfucker over. Your car started. Go, drive. What are you doing? I hate that stuff. Car started. Kill that thing. Sorry, my rant.
Hmm. Yeah.
Anything else you liked or didn't like, Jennii?
Um, let's see. Uh, I just kind of thought it was a lot harder to kill a werewolf. One werewolf, he's not. I mean, they can take incredible amounts of pain and injury, and they seem okay. The one only passed because they ripped his whole throat out. But there's not really any of the kind of lore of like the silver bullet. I mean, this guy got taken out by a buckshot.
Yes.
So
Yes.
kind of
That's an
weird.
interesting, no lore, no werewolf lore in this really at all.
Yeah, no silver
Which,
bullet.
yeah. Okay. With the power of 1,000 exploding stars simultaneously exploding, I hated this movie. I hated it with as I was watching it, I was just seething in anger as I was watching this. And the number one reason why I really disliked this was, now you guys haven't seen The Invisible Man. But what Leigh Whannell did with The Invisible Man was really, really good. He took the story of the original Invisible Man film and completely modernized it. So it's basically an abused woman whose abuser is invisible and is tormenting her, and set in a modern setting, and it's fantastic. It's great. What he does here is and so all of the quote unquote lore from the Invisible Man stuff gone. It's not even in that original one. He does the same thing here, but a werewolf is a little bit different than just a scientist who goes invisible. And there's no lore in this whatsoever. I thought this was so boring. So boring. I was like, when is something going to happen in this movie? And then as soon as something does happen, I saw it in the trailer. It's like I know exactly how this whole scene is going to play out because I've already seen this in the trailer. Julia Garner's great. She's awesome in Apartment 7A, the Rosemary's Baby sort of prequel. If anyone out there wants to see that, she's an amazing actress. She's great what she does here, but all she does here is act scared. That's really it. She doesn't do much else. I absolutely hated werewolf films are judged on their transformation, right? The transformation. I'm going to completely disagree with Josh. Number one, I thought the transformation was awful. What you see and hear of a transformation was terrible. I thought the look of it was terrible. It's not a wolf. Leigh Whannell's trying to do. Oh well, it's like I don't know if it's like post-COVID world, and now we're all worried and concerned about contagion and, like you said, Jennii, disease and stuff like that. It's just a guy that has like, I wouldn't even call him like a hairy face or anything. He's got just tufts of hair around, and he's got like, almost like tumors kind of on his face, and it's dumb when you see like the actual guy running on all fours. I was laughing, like I laughed when I was watching this. There's nothing scary about this movie at all. Nothing with the full moon doesn't matter. None of this matters. I thought the whole storyline with the dad, again, getting back to your point, Josh, taking his family up to this place that he knows that like shit has gone down. The one thing I will say that I did enjoy about it is I thought Leigh Whannell did an interesting um, visual cue. Like, there's this visual cue when Julia Garner's character is trying to talk to him, and he's turning into a werewolf, if you can even call it a werewolf. He's a wolf man. He's not a werewolf. But the camera kind of like will spin, like from her perspective talking to him, and then the camera will like drift around behind him, and then it transitions so you see what he's hearing, and it's all jumbled, and her eyes are glowing to try to like be like, oh, he can't communicate with her now, but he isn't fully transformed. I like that.
Yeah,
I
that was
thought that
cool.
was cool. I thought that was a cool visual thing, but they don't go far enough with it. They really don't. And this is one of those films that's so fucking predictable. It's like they're trapped in this house. We have this whole little thing with like, oh, touch my forehead. What am I thinking? Oh, you love your little daughter, whatever. I'm like, from the very beginning of this movie, I was like, I know how this is going to fucking end. He's going to fight the actual Wolfman at the very end. He's going to end up dying, and his family is going to survive. I knew it from the beginning. Just knew it. And so I'm watching this boring fucking story play out at glacial speed. No scares, nothing of interest, no lore, no anything. I think Leigh Whannell really screwed up this one. Just absolutely screwed up, and it bombed at the box office. Just completely bombed. I think there was only 3 people that went and saw it. I mean, it was bad. Hated it.
I was in the theater with 8 people, so yeah, I blame. I'm going to answer my own question and blame Jason Blum. Yeah, 100%. He's very well known for being, holding control over directors and having the money. They do what he wants them to do. So I don't know if I can blame anyone else for this. Was Invisible
it's so
Man
weird? Invisible Man's amazing, and it was Blumhouse.
Was it Blumhouse too? Okay.
Yeah, and that's the last Blumhouse movie I saw that was actually good. Everything Blumhouse has put out after that has been like mediocre or straight garbage.
Yeah,
and Blumhouse used to have like a golden name. Like, oh, cool, a new Blumhouse movie's coming out. And then they got into the Halloween movies.
Yep.
They have just completely trashed and tarnished their reputation.
Yeah.
Which is, it's sad. I will tell you a funny story about my theatrical experience, though. So I thought I was going to be the only one there. I went at 2:00 on a Tuesday because that's the cheap day here in my town. And I was the only one in there, and I was like, sweet, I'm going to have this whole theater to myself. In walks a mother and like her 4 daughters, aged probably 6 to 12, right? They all come in and they all sit down. And of course, they're getting up and wandering, going to the bathroom, getting their drinks, having their phones on during the thing, which actually I didn't mind because the movie was so fucking boring. At least that gave me something to focus on. But that's not the funny thing about my experience. The funny thing was, about 50 minutes into this movie, another mother walks in with 2 little girls. We're talking like 6, 7-year-old girls. They walk all the way across. 50 minutes into this movie, they walk. They sit down. They have their popcorn. One says, "Mom, can I sit next to mommy?" The other one's like, "Yeah, that's fine." They sit down. Right as that is happening is when the werewolf is reaching through like the doggy door and grabbing the guy and trying to pull him through, and they're screaming and stuff like that. Immediately, within 5 seconds, the mother gets up, takes the kids, and they just walk right out. So I don't know if they just walked into the wrong movie or if she was like, "What the hell is going on?" But the kids were freaking out. It was
Yeah.
Panic City, and that was the most entertaining of most entertaining thing of Wolfman was not watching Wolfman. It was everything that was happening in my theater.
I did have to laugh at one point in that movie because there's a spot in the barn at the very end when he's chewing off his leg. And I was like, what's with Leigh Whannell and removing people's legs in movies? Like, he did it in Saw. Now he's done it in Wolfman. What is his deal with feet?
Yeah.
So that just kind of made me laugh, too.
Jennii, let me ask you something. Julia Garner plays like the main female presence in this. Let's say you're married to a dude, and you walk in, and you see him just gnawing on his arm and on his leg and stuff, and he can't communicate. Like, but there's a werewolf outside, right? What
Mhm.
what are you What are you doing at that point? Are you just trying to take out your husband at that point and just be like, I gotta kill him, or are you gonna go like run outside and try to get in this truck? Like, what would you do if you were in this situation?
Well, if you notice in that situation, she actually let him slowly and mechanically follow her to the truck. She helps him get in
She
the
was trying
truck.
to, yeah, she was trying to help him.
And I'm just
Yeah,
like, it's too far gone. It's time to cut ties.
yeah,
You know about the disease, you know about the wolf guy. You just watched him literally eat tendons out of his arm. He's gone.
yeah.
Part
Because
ways, save your daughter if you give two shits about her.
yes,
Get the hell
that's what I
out. And
kept
and I was kind
thinking.
of like,
I
why
was
is
like,
she
why
still
is she not
tagging
helping her
along?
daughter here? Like,
Yeah,
why are you
she's
bringing this guy in the car in the truck with your daughter? Like, she
yeah,
seemed like a bad mom. And I think she mentions at some point, she's like, "Oh, I'm so busy with my job, and my daughter doesn't even, recognize me anymore." And I was like, well, "Yeah, you're a shitty mom. Look what you're doing here."
yeah. That
Yeah,
was weird to me to not have that sense of, okay, this is not normal. She was so scared of the guy just hunting with a gun. Why was she not scared of this guy who's eating his own damn arm?
great
Right?
point. Great
Uh,
point. She just
I
sees
was
a gun and she's freaking out, but like her husband's gnawing his arm off and get in the truck with our daughter. Let's go. Get out of here.
Yeah, with obvious some kind of infection signs all over his face and his eyes looked all
Yeah,
bloodshot. I was like, you already know. You got to be smart enough to know that it's too late. So
yeah.
yeah, I thought that was weird that that was just completely like, it's fine. You're just sick. We're just gonna get out of here as a family. It's like, really. So yeah, that part was a little bit annoying.
Poorly written script, like Josh said. The script of
Yeah.
this is so bad. Let me ask you, Josh, what would you have liked to have seen in this movie? Like, would you rather have had Leigh Whannell do a traditional remake of the Wolfman, kind of like the Benicio del Toro 2010 one, or do you like the fact that he kind of went off on this other weird tangent? But
I'd go further back, even to that Lon Chaney Jr. version of that movie. I think this traditional, because again, nobody's making those movies, and again, you can take that original story and spice it up into modern day still, and still make that work. And I just think that simple. There's too much going on in this. There's just too much and yet not enough going on in this movie. And I think if you just took it back to the original Wolfman, and that just the simple story of it, and just kind of made it modern day, I think that would have been a better way to go about it. Me personally. Um,
how
again,
about you, Jenny?
nothing worked for this movie.
Yeah. How about you? Would you rather them gone a traditional werewolf route?
Yeah, I think it would be more interesting to see how to deal with traditional werewolf lore in modern day because I did like that it was modern day and I thought they took a lot of time to make things look beautiful, like the shots of the woods and everything. There was really beautiful filming, but kind of losing track of like the whole point of the movie being called Wolfman, I feel like should have been a little bit more focused on tradition, I would say.
Now, when you guys saw it in your screening, like the end of this movie was so dark. Like when Julia Garner and the daughter are running around, whether it's in the basement or whatever, it looks so darkly lit that it was hard to even tell what was going on. Did you guys get that on yours, or was that just my screening? It looked really dark to me.
Are you talking about when she's down there and he's actually comes down the stairs and you don't even really see him, and it's so
Yeah,
dark?
like the whole
Oh yeah,
ending just seemed
yeah.
really dark. Like you couldn't see what was going on, like at all to me.
Yeah, I was confused because I was like, I thought that they had turned on a generator. And maybe I was wondering, did I miss something where maybe the generator got purposely broken, or
He cut it.
yeah, kind of.
He cut it.
Did he cut it?
Yeah.
Okay, so only emergency lights were on then, but it was kind of hard to keep that connection, like, because I thought that radio thing was still working, and I didn't think that would work if they only had the emergency lights.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it was a little confusing.
Okay, well, let's our final thoughts here. Jennii, we'll start with you. Your final thoughts and then a letter grade for Wolfman.
Okay, so my final thoughts. I really do love getting out of the house and going to movies, especially matinee movies. That's one of my favorite things. I love to be entertained. I really love the cinematography, and I do like Christopher Abbott. I think he's a great actor. But the storyline and the script were not very good. So I think this would be just a C plus for me. I don't want to go any lower than that because I did enjoy cinematography and the acting, but the storyline was a little bit too lacking for me. So yeah, C
Okay.
plus.
Okay. Fair. Josh.
Yeah. Again, it was terribly written. I agree with Jennii. I thought it looked really nice. I again will defend the creature effects because I really thought it was kind of a different, cool kind of way to go about the creature effects. If they would have put a mustache on him, it would have been perfect. Um, but yeah, and again, I like Leigh Whannell. I don't know if they're going to continue going about this Universal monster movie remake kind of deal. But I'm not going to hold anything against Leigh Whannell. I think Jason Blum needs to go back to the drawing board and figure out what he's doing with these movies. So for me, I'm riding the line, but I remember what I gave Nosferatu, so I'm gonna go D plus.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think I am going to hold this against Leigh Whannell because Leigh Whannell was originally attached to this, and Ryan Gosling was going to star. Then Leigh Whannell left the project. Somebody else came on board. I don't remember which director it was, but then they left, and then Leigh Whannell jumped back onto it and did it again. Only this time, Ryan Gosling was like, "I'm out. I'm not doing it any longer." I feel that Leigh Whannell at this point in time should have enough sway, even with Jason Blum, to be like, "This is the story I want to make." And I think he felt like, "Hey, look, I made The Invisible Man a huge success. It was awesome. It's got critical acclaim. This is what I want to do with the Wolfman," and he just failed for me in every single way, other than like a couple interesting ideas of shots of the transition of how the Wolfman is looking at his wife and stuff. That was kind of cool, but that was like 3 shots in the movie for me, and I just felt like this was such a slap in the face to Wolfman fans. People who you could have kept some werewolf lore in there. You didn't have to completely excise all of it. Just okay, he's just infected. He's got some sort of disease. I just hated everything about this. Hated it. So I'm going to give it an F. An F. Big fat F for Wolfman. That includes my disappointment and my anger towards this film. Now, with regards to Universal Monsters, James Wan is allegedly doing Creature from the Black Lagoon next. So, should I be excited? I guess, maybe. I don't know. Sean Tretta, Tiffany Shepis' husband, is writing it. So, hopefully we will get something good there, but I don't know. We'll see. But with that, thank you, everyone. Hit that like and subscribe. Let us know who's correct. Who had the great grade here? Who had the most accurate grade? C+, D+, or big fat F? Let us know in the comments down below. Hit that like and subscribe, and we will be back with the next big horror film that we go see. I know Steven Soderbergh's Presence is coming out, which is supposed to be incredible. I definitely want to see that. We'll coordinate something. We'll figure out the next review here on Outpost Unknown. So, bye, everybody.